you will hear people talking in 8 different situations. For questions 1 to 8, choose the best answer, A, B, or C. 1.
Yeah, it was fun at the barbecue. What? Steve? Yes, he seemed okay. I mean, we seem to have lots in common. Like, we're both into hip-hop music, and it turned out he's a skateboarder too, so yeah, that was interesting. The conversation did tend to be all about him though, which I know he was probably nervous, but still. Yeah, he was a bit of a comedian, I suppose, but I actually thought some of the stuff he said was pretty funny. And he was really sweet at the end when he offered to walk me home. So it wasn't all bad.
2. The first rule about starting a collection is to put aside any notion of making a fortune. The essential factor is that you must feel some kind of passion for the objects you collect. A lot of people choose coins or stamps, maybe because they've read about these hobbies in a magazine, and they think it'll be easy to get started. But I wonder how many of these people keep their collections going 10 years down the line. The way I look at it, it's something to be enjoyed. And if you happen to make some money or impress some friends along the way, it's a bonus.
3.
Well, what did you say?
I didn't come out with it immediately. I started by talking about the pressure I'd been under, what with the exams and everything. I mean, last month I hardly went out. I was too exhausted.
I know the feeling. So?
Well, they seemed pretty sympathetic, so I got to the point. I said I'd just be having my closest friends round, playing a bit of music, and we'd tidy everything up afterwards. I said it was a one-off thing, and then I could spend the whole Sunday with them going shopping or whatever. Mum seemed keen on that bit. She's always going on about us doing more stuff together.
4.
Last Christmas, my gran gave me a book of Sudoku instead of the usual socks and ties. Now, in case you've never heard of it, Sudoku is a kind of puzzle, a bit like a crossword. But unlike crosswords, you don't need talents like good spelling or a big vocabulary. In fact, if you can count to 9, you're away. Wanting to humour Gran, I gave it a go. And here's a warning for anyone who hasn't tried Sudoku yet. Don't. It will take over your life. Over the past year, I've probably spent more time doing Sudoku than I have playing computer games, and that's saying something.
5.
As any birdwatcher knows, observing songbirds in your own garden is a constant source of interest and delight. But attracting birds is not always straightforward. Make your garden an inviting place by putting out the right foods and, crucially, providing a water supply. People often forget that, but it's probably the single most helpful thing you can do. If you're really keen, you could think about planting bird-friendly trees and shrubs too. Last but not least, consider keeping your pet cat in at night. Every year, cats kill an estimated 1 million songbirds in England alone. Not the biggest factor in songbird decline by any means, but significant nonetheless.
6.
I've only ever had one real hobby, and that's music. I took after my dad that way. He was a brilliant jazz musician, but we were always broke. The band came first, even when the bills needed paying. So it sent my mother up the wall when I came home with my first guitar and announced I was leaving school. I was a pretty good maths student, so I think she was hoping I'd work in accounting, something with a good salary. But for me, well, I'd rather be poor as long as I'm doing something I love. Luckily for me, I didn't have to choose.
7.
We ought to do something. We shouldn't just watch TV all the time.
Do you really think we do? A lot of the time it's just on in the background.
Oh, whatever. I still think we should get out more. I met this student in lectures today, and he does all this stuff like rock climbing and photography and volunteering. It made me feel really boring.
Oh, you're not boring. But perhaps we should do something else, like, oh, I don't know, maybe go for a bike ride tomorrow.
That's one option. Although, I think we could probably come up with something even better. Let's think.
8.
I didn't used to be very outdoorsy. My idea of a good weekend used to be maybe watching some TV, catching up with the papers. I suppose at the back of my mind I'd have liked to be more active, but if it hadn't been for my mate Kate wanting someone to practice with, I don't think I'd ever have taken it up. Riding wasn't something that I really knew anything about, but I soon became an expert. Something like that anyway. The house is full of horse kit, horse books. There are even horses on the curtains and sofa cushions. I guess I ended up getting really carried away.